Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel where I'm creating hair care confidence. And today we are going to do a tutorial on these Bohemian knotless braids that I so confidently taught myself how to do. And I think they came out pretty good. Now, this is not technically a tutorial. This is my experience, okay? So of course you want to get yourself some braiding hair. I use 54 inches. And you want to get yourself some human hair for the little wavy additions into the braids. I use colors 1B for both types of hair. And if you're going to do this, make sure you get the bulk human hair. That's the hair that's not attached to a weft, because cutting that, it wasn't too bad, but it definitely took time. And I also use this wire hair rack. It came with a stand, which was really helpful for moving it around the house because I definitely didn't finish everything in one day. Now they have these wooden tabletop ones, which I was originally going to get at first, but then I thought, where am I going to put this while in the bathroom? What if it falls over? So this one was really good as far as stability and giving me that height that I needed while doing my hair. Now if you're going to do this style or anything similar, make sure that you separate all the hair pieces, or as many as you can, before you get started, because I did not, and it just took me a long time because I kept stopping the braiding process to separate more hair while also still trying to learn how to braid this method and do all these things. It was pretty infuriating after a while. You also want to get yourself a good rat tail comb and some good braiding gel. This one was what I had, so that's what I used, but just get something that you know works well with your hair or that is specific for braiding. Now also use an edge brush. That was good for smoothing the gel into each section without disturbing the other sections. Some hair clips, of course, to keep everything in place while parting. And yeah, let's get to the hardest part of this video, parting my hair. When I was in middle school, I could do this so, I won't say so easy, but I was much better at it way back then, I guess because I was doing it more often. But now, oh my gosh, this process took at least an hour just to separate out the rows. I did the sections as I went along because those parts were pretty easy. But parting from one side of my head to the other, I had to get Alex in on this whole process because I just needed something to hold my hair up so that I could see what I was doing and hold my hair in place so that I could get like into the nitty gritty of things. What I did find helpful was Indie Bendy Braids on Instagram. She has a parting guide that really helped me to plan this out and give me some direction as to what to do. She has some really informative and helpful videos on how to do knotless braids, Bohemian braids, any type of braid really that's popular right now. She is really good at instructing you how to do it so that you can do it at home. Once I had all the rows parted out, I just went ahead and put those sections into large braids so that they wouldn't, mix up and ruin the parts that I had already done. And then it was time to go ahead and make a small enough section to braid. So every time I did that, I made sure to put the braiding gel on the top of the section to make sure everything was nice and smooth. And that kaleidoscope braiding gel was really good. There was no flakage there. It just worked well. And I used it throughout the length of my braids. Now it's time to actually do the knotless braids. This took a few attempts. I watched several videos on how to do this so that I would be very clear on what I needed to do. And still, when it was actually time to do it, I was like, what? I completely understood the technique and the method and why I was doing what I was doing. I just could not get the tension that I felt like I needed. When I'm braiding my hair, I'm holding each part of that braid, like strand, I guess you want to call it, the 3 sections you split a braid into in order to braid. I grab and grip that with a lot of tension because I like a tight braid. So adding in the braiding hair, I couldn't quite grasp that tightness that I wanted. I was able to get better as I went along. The ones in front were definitely better than the ones in the back, and probably because those were just done later on in the process. The early ones, the first 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ones that I did, I was still learning the process. I was thinking to myself, do I add in the braiding hair to the section, give it a little bit of slack so that I can pull it the way that I need to in order to get the tension that I want? Or do I just like do all the tension in the beginning when I add the hair, like really like pull it tight, put it into the section, then continue to pull? Like, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that is where I struggled, trying to decide if I was giving it enough tension in the moment, trying to feel if I was giving it enough tension in the moment. And like I said, it got better as I went along. And honestly, it wasn't that bad overall. But these little human hair pieces, this was a whole other project. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that you should get bulk hair instead of getting hair on a weft, because it just makes things more complicated if you get the weft, because you have to cut the hair from the weft, and that disturbs the positioning of the hair, which ultimately means you're gonna have to kind of correct that, and then you gotta pluck it and feather it a little bit so that it's not too blunt on the end, because then it'll stick out of the braid. And next time if I do this style, I will use bulk hair that has a deeper wave to it, so that it doesn't really matter if you feather it, it'll already have its positioning and style in place, and I won't have to worry about cutting it from a weft. And overall, this human hair was, I would say it was okay, because it definitely got tangled. It didn't like mat up, but it kind of matted up a little bit. It was easy to comb or brush out, but it just got really stiff, you know, every few days. And I didn't even really wear my braids down. Like if I wasn't leaving the house for the day, I would keep them in that pink bonnet that you guys saw in the beginning of the video, which I will definitely link in the bio because I really love that bonnet. But anyways, I kept my braids tucked in most of the time, and maybe that's why the human hair stiffened up the way that it did, but I really don't think that's why. And I don't know, that just doesn't make sense to me. And this human hair shed like crazy. I am still finding pieces of hair throughout the house, and I've vacuumed several times, y'all. So hopefully if I get a deeper wave curl, it won't shed as easily. Am I right in assuming that? And before I forget, I wanted to make sure you guys knew that I used about between 4 and 6 pieces of braiding hair additions, like through the knotless braid process. Like I added about 4 or 6 pieces per braid. I didn't want the braids to be longer than my actual hair because it's already crazy long. So I wanted it to kind of meet up at the end or go just a little bit further. And I added about 3 human hair sections to each braid. Some of them just had 2, but just about all of them had 3. And just a couple quick stats for the braids. I think I had about 38 in total. Felt like 100, but it was just 38. And I wore them for about 2 weeks. And this is what they looked like out in the real world, because, you know, sometimes you can't get a feel for how things look until you are out and about. And I ended up really liking these braids. I wish I could have worn them a little bit longer. It saved me a lot of time and effort while I was out of town. So I will definitely be braiding my hair up again. That's going to be the end of this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Share this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And as always, thanks for watching.